Good evening, Carrie Chapman Cat here, filling in for Ms. Danku tonight. As you already know, I'm an outspoken advocate of women's rights and temperance. What you might not know is that I also spoke out against Hitler and the persecution of Jews during World War II. But thanks in part to me, the 19th Amendment was passed giving women the right to vote. The good news is, we're done talking about reformers during the Progressive Era. The bad news is, now we're going to talk about politics in the Progressive Era. Sally forth. In this presentation, we'll be talking about the presidency of Theodore Roosevelt, and in particular, his policy known as Square Deal. The objectives we'll cover today are, going back to Goal 5, Objective number 4, describe the changing role of government, and moving up to Goal 7, Objective 2, describe the economic and political gains of Americans during the Progressive Era. Our essential question for this presentation is, what did Roosevelt think the government should do for its citizens? What about Theodore Roosevelt? Well, a little background information. Theodore Roosevelt emerged from the Spanish-American War as a hero. He was known for leading a group called the Rough Riders, who were volunteer cavalry who devoted time and energy to fighting in Cuba. In terms of his presidency, his foreign policy was known as big stick politics. And some examples of this were he backed the Panamanian Revolution against Colombia, he built the Panama Canal, and he arbitrated the Russo-Japanese War. And we'll talk about that in more detail in the next goal, Goal 6, but he was known for his foreign policy, big stick politics. He was also known for the Roosevelt Corollary, which was another part of foreign policy. It was an addition to the Monroe Doctrine that stated that the U.S. is the only country that can intervene in foreign politics on this side of the world. Again, we'll talk more about that in Goal 6. Roosevelt was a very impressive character. He drove himself physically, pushed himself quite hard. He attended Harvard, so he was quite intelligent. He became the youngest president ever, and still is the youngest president ever. Only Kennedy was close. Kennedy was 43 when he became president. So Theodore Roosevelt remains our youngest president. He set the tone for a modern presidency because he had an active role both in foreign and domestic affairs. He definitely believed in federal intervention and regulations, which is key for the Progressive Era. It was a sign of a progressive president. It was time for some changes to be made. The corruption of government had gone too far, and industries were not being regulated, and this was causing some severe problems, as we know. He had 6 children, all were very active in sports. And he used media and news campaigns to his advantage, and this was new for the presidency. He also served as governor of New York and supported reforms and progressive ideas there. This is a picture that kind of shows the many hats of Theodore Roosevelt, including when he was governor of New York, when he served as vice president, then president. And he was also known as a peacemaker because of his ability to work with other countries, and he was known for conservation. That last one says, mighty hunter of all time. Theodore Roosevelt rose steadily through government ranks. Again, he led this group of volunteer cavalry, the Rough Riders. That's the picture in the top right there. As governor, he was reform governor of New York, and he served as the vice president under William McKinley. He became president when McKinley was assassinated in 1901, and of course left his mark as the first progressive president. In the next presentation, I'll describe Roosevelt's Square Deal.